Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, I'll say this: Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes, I think they got what they asked for, and that was a little bit more control of their own destiny. Now, I'm not going to get up here and say that Miami is in complete control because I don't know if that's true. With Pitt going on the road and beating Georgia Tech, this is going to be a top 25 college football playoff ranked team come Saturday afternoon. And Miami gets to go on the road against a top 25 team and get a chance to make a statement that, hey, you can't leave this football team out of the college football playoffs. Regardless of what happens around Miami, you have an opportunity to make that kind of statement. Can Miami go on the road and do that? Or some really fun matchups in this game. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. Pitt is becoming much-watched television for me. This freshman quarterback, Mason Heinschel, is an absolute electric factory. Now, is he a true freshman? Is it at times a little bit of a roller coaster? Absolutely. He is not afraid to take some risks. He's going to make some really big-time throws, but also at the same time, put the ball in harm's way a little bit. Really fun matchup, man. Before we get into it, as always, to the Miami fans, to the Pitt fans, let it fly in the comments section. These preview prediction episodes for the boys have been an absolute blast. Cannot thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, I'm going to put you on the spot, and let's start with this Pitt offense that's led by a true freshman quarterback that is very, very fun to watch versus a Miami defense that was not great against Virginia Tech, but has been damn near elite throughout 2025. Biggest storyline, biggest matchup that we are watching in this football game here.
It's probably the one-dimensionality of Pitt. Like, Pitt is not a team that runs the ball particularly well, and they don't even really try to for the most part. And again, I know you could point to the Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech, to me, is not like a defense that is going to stop
that Pitt's ability to run the football against Georgia Tech had a lot more to do with Georgia Tech and a little bit less to do with Pitt's rushing attack.
And again, like, when you're that one-dimensional against a team like Miami, who's probably got the best pass rush in the country, and you got like 4 or 5 guys who can win at will, and if they get one-on-ones, it's just really hard to block them up.
Yeah,
that's what I think I'm looking at. And again, like, Mason Heinschel, he's not like a Kevin Jennings creator, I guess. Like, he's a really good sit in the pocket and rip it up a little bit, make quick decisions. But to me, it's like how well can Pitt block it up to at least give him a shot to make some things happen down the field, because that's really their avenue to success on offense.
Here's I'll kind of put it the way I see it, very, very similar to you. This is a true freshman quarterback that does not have a run game to lean on. That is probably going to have to drop back and throw the football 40-plus times in this game. Behind an offensive line that is allowing 9% sacks on dropbacks, which is 122nd in the country. Like, there are some teams that can get away with being one-dimensional and really leaning into the passing attack if they have an offensive line that can hold up in pass protection. Pitt has struggled to block up other teams in this conference. Miami's pass rush is a whole nother beast. Now, everybody talks about Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, who are, let's just say it how it is, the best edge rushing duo that you see across the country. And I don't even know how close that is. But it's also on the inside with Ahmad Moten, with the way Justin Scott has been playing. And then the blitz packages that Corey Heatherman has put in, like sending some of those backers and sending the nickels, that concerns me for a true freshman quarterback. And can Pitt run the football to slow down this pass rush? Miami's defense, although struggled against Virginia Tech stopping the run, is top 10 in the country, only allowing 3 yards per carry. Is Pitt all of a sudden going to learn how to run the football against Miami? No, probably not. Here's the other storyline: is Miami's defense being, what you say, is opportunistic? Because when you talk about Mason Heinschel, look, 12 big-time throws. And look, the big-time throws are all over the film. This kid can make some high-level throws and rip it all around the yard. He also has 15 turnover-worthy plays. And I think it's fair to say he is going to give Miami some opportunities to force some turnovers. What can Miami do with those opportunities? Feels like a very big storyline in this football game as well.
And honestly, when we talk about this Miami secondary, I think what I'm looking at is they are getting a little dinged up in the middle. Like, their safety nickelback rotation is getting a little thin, especially if Jacoby Thomas can't play in this football game. And obviously he went down last week. You're already down Keontae Scott.
Yep.
They've played really well there, but I
Yep.
think we knew coming into this year that depth was going to be an issue, and they've hit on their portal kids. They've hit on some young guys, but I'm kind of looking there because Pitt does a really good job attacking the middle of the field. And Mason Einschel, again, to talk about negating the pass rush, he sees things pretty quickly for a freshman. That's where I'm kind of looking is can they feast a little bit on the inside of that Miami secondary because it is getting a little ding. I think the boundary position still in really good shape for Miami, so I don't really see that as the avenue. But is this middle, are they going to be able to communicate and stop a really effective passing attack that's done a really good job of getting guys open pretty consistently?
Yeah, you know who feels big is another freshman here, Bryce Fitzgerald, man. Like he's going to probably play the whole game, whether he's playing nickel, whether he's playing deeper third safety. And you talk about Pitt's ability to work between the numbers. That's Bryce. And I'll say this, Bryce Fitzgerald can be ball hawk, man. This kid's got special instincts. You feel like Bryce Fitzgerald might be due there. But that is a really interesting matchup as well, because I don't know if I favor Pitt's wide receivers on the boundary against a couple of really good cornerbacks. You know, whether it's Lucas, obviously OJ Frederick's been banged up. I think Damari Browndale, I think he's played some good football too, even though he gave up some completions against Virginia Tech. Very, very competitive in those reps. All right.
And also, it also allows Pitt to get the ball out of hand quickly. That's the one thing. Like throw over the middle, get the ball out quick, and see if Miami can communicate the way they have all year with some guys filling in spots that they haven't played a ton.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to like how well does Pitt have answers for this pass rush? Because I think we won't know one thing for certain. I don't think Pitt can successfully block up this Miami pass rush. Quick game. Can they find some things in the run game to mitigate this pass rush? Because if you have Ruben Bain and Messer just pinning the ears back every single snap against true freshman quarterback, as good as I think this kid is, not good if you're a Pitt fan. All right, let's flip the sides against Pitt defense that, like, they going to get after you. And they're very good against the run. What is it? 2.9 yards per carry allowed, top 10 in the country, Dill. Here's the storyline for me. Miami's ability to find explosive plays. Because what's the scouting report on Pitt? Is they're really good at forcing some turnovers. They're really good at forcing some negative plays. They are an aggressive defense that has a trio of linebackers that might be the best trio of linebackers that we see in the country. And they're going to use them downhill, man. Can you find the explosive plays? This is a Miami Hurricane offense that's top 25 in scoring offense in the country, but outside of the top 60 in explosive plays of 20-plus yards. That's the avenue to Pitt, or to moving the football against Pitt, is using that aggressive nature of this Pitt defense against them and finding explosive plays. Can Miami find those in this matchup? Feels like maybe the biggest storyline that we're going to be monitoring.
And that's where, again, when Miami's at their best, they are really force-feeding Malachi Toney, and he is the one. Like, you talk about a guy who's going to create explosive plays, it's him. He can obviously run, but the bigger thing is he's the one who can create open field missed tackles.
Yards after the yeah.
So, like, he's really hard to bring down. Yes. They can get him the ball in a lot of different ways, using misdirection, whatever else, being able to throw the ball. To me, he's kind of the key. And when Miami bogs down, I feel like he's not as much involved in the football game as he needs to be. When he's really fed, I love what Miami can do.
When is Miami at their best on offense? Because we talked about it this morning. There's been like a distinct change. Like when Miami lost that game to SMU when they were probably too stale and just trying to play that Miami brand of football where we're going to run between the tackles, you lost. And ever since then, Shannon Dawson's opened the sucker up. Like you're seeing Malachi Toney get used in all sorts of ways, end arounds, in the backfield as a wildcat quarterback. You're going to need that again. Like throw some wrinkles in there that can be successful against an ultra aggressive Pat Narduzzi Pitt defense. I want to see Shannon Dawson continue to look for those explosive plays in different ways. And I'll say the other thing, Dill, how well does Miami run the football against a really good Pitt defense? I'm not sure. Like maybe the avenue here is on the back of Carson Beck, who was exceptional against Virginia Tech. I'll say one thing.
And that's one thing we'll have to look at, because what I won't understand about Miami necessarily is like they really struggled against Louisville to run the football. In Louisville, I think can present some of the issues, frankly, that Pitt does. Like a very athletic, kind of on the smaller side for their defensive line, but athletic, very athletic linebackers. In Miami, just struggled to like get hats on hats.
Yeah.
Pitt, I feel like, can present some of the same
Yeah,
issues. Now, again, I look, Miami is pretty much 330 plus besides James Brockermeyer at the center spot. In Pitt, their defensive linemen are mostly all under 300
280.
pounds.
Yeah,
Like,
they're small.
Miami should be able to move these guys around, I think, grind a little bit. But also, Miami hasn't been able to play that style of game. And I think part of it's on the running backs who probably need to play better than they did against Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
But also, this offensive line, like, can they impose themselves a little bit
yeah,
more than they've been able
sure.
to? Because they've really struggled sometimes against those smaller athletic
Yeah,
defenses that are just
I
like
think that's
those
fair
kind of.
to say, and I think a lot of Miami fans would agree. It's like this offensive line's awesome in pass protection. We think they should be good moving bodies around it, but the run game hasn't been as consistent as you would like. Here's the last thing that I do think probably favors Miami's. I don't know how. Look, I'll just hand up. Say I'd be surprised if Miami goes on the road and runs for 250 on a Pitt defense that's one of the best in the country stopping the run. Probably put this one on Carson Beck. Like, hey, 6-year senior, paid a lot of money for you. You got to go on the road and win us this football game through the air. And I think the thing that works for Miami here is say what you want about Carson Beck. He's played a lot of football and has seen a lot of different blitz packages down there in the SEC, right? Carson Beck's seen a lot of, he knows how to manage pressure at this point. And then you have an offensive line that I know we were just being critical about what they do in the run game, really good in pass protection, and an offensive line that you can tell is very clearly well coached when it comes to picking up pressure. If Pitt's going to bring pressure, are you going to get home? Like Carson Beck can find his answers quickly, but this Miami offensive line can also pick up a lot of different pressure packages you might want to throw. It's a very veteran group. All right, Dale, get into the pick here. Miami going on the road 7-point favorites. How about this? What's it going to take for Miami to make that statement where we're undeniably a college football playoff team? What do you think this game needs to look like and how you think it plays out?
I mean, it's going to need to look like probably a 20-ish point win. I think that's what I'm
Really?
targeting if I'm Miami. I look, we've seen what the committee does with teams that house teams or teams that play tight games. Like they're
Yeah,
very comfortable moving those teams up and down the rankings,
sure.
depending on how big of a beating they put on teams or
Yeah.
how close a win is. Right now, Miami, you probably said at the top, I don't think they're fully in control of their own destiny. A huge win. You talk about those Big 12 teams that are maybe in the way or a Vanderbilt. A
Yeah.
huge, like a very
Separate.
decisive win, I think gives them another data point to potentially separate themselves, along with the fact that they clearly do have that Notre Dame win and not a lot of teams have that.
Yeah.
I think Miami, if
As
they play a clean game, they should be able to win decisively. Miami probably could say that just about every game on their schedule. They've always pretty much been the best team on the field. It's always like, can they limit pre-snap penalties? Can they not turn the ball over? Can they execute at a higher level than they probably have? If they do that, they should be fine. But that's where you kind of get into the will they, won't they with Miami. They
as
haven't always.
frustrating as what you just said is, right? Like talking about like this is a game where Miami's going on the road to a top 25 team. Normally just say, hey, go figure out a way to win this one. It's probably not the case, right? And that's not necessarily me thinking that. That's what the committee has told us. Like you said, they're comfortable moving teams up and down based on what the scoreboard looks like. I will say this still, I think it's a really unique matchup for Miami. Like you asked me what I think is going to happen. I think Miami goes on the road and wins pretty handily here. And it's not anything disrespectful to Pitt. It's just a bad matchup. You're going to try to ask a freshman quarterback to drop back and throw the football this many times behind an offensive line that's not all that good against the best pass rush in the country. I don't know if here's the storyline. How much can Miami score? I don't think Pitt's going to score a ton in this game. Can Miami go on the road and execute on offense? Can Carson Beck look the way he did against Virginia Tech and go put up 30 plus points? And can you run away with this one? But I think Miami's defense is uniquely suited to give Pitt some problems because I don't think Pitt can block them up. And they're going to try to throw the ball a lot. Close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.